The hot Lagos sun beats down on the busy streets of Ikeja. Cars honk loudly as they move slowly through the traffic. Street vendors shout, selling water, bread, and plantains. Among all this noise and movement, an old woman sits quietly on the dusty ground. But this old woman begging for money was not always like this. Her story begins many years ago, when life was very different. 25 years earlier, Mama Kemi lived in a small but comfortable house in Surulere, Lagos. She was a trader who sold cloth at Balegan Market. Life was not easy, but she had enough food on her table and a roof over her head. Mama Kemi had 2 children. There was Kemi, her daughter, who was 15 years old. And there was Tond, her son, who was 13. They were the light of her eyes. She loved them more than anything in the world. At the funeral in their home village in Ogun State, the family elders spoke to Mama Kemi. They said she must take Emeka and raise him as her own son. In Yoruba culture, family takes care of family. There was no other choice. Mama Kemi agreed, but her heart was not happy about it. She already struggled to feed 2 children. Now she would have 3 mouths to feed. And Emeka was not her blood. He was just her late sister's son. When they returned to Lagos, Mama Kemi's house felt smaller and more crowded. She had to buy another mat for Emeka to sleep on. She had to cook more rice and beans to fill his stomach. Every extra expense made her angry. But the worst part was how different she treated the 3 children. But when Emeka came home, there were no hugs. There were no questions about his day. He got the smallest portion of food, and sometimes no meat at all. When his school uniform became too small and torn, Mama Kemi would say there was no money. She made Emeka wake up at 5 in the morning to sweep the compound and fetch water from the well. He would wash the dishes and do the laundry before going to school. When he came back in the evening, more chores waited for him. When neighbors asked Mama Kemi why she treated Emeka differently, she would say he needed to learn hard work. She would say his mother spoiled him too much when she was alive. But deep in her heart, she knew the truth. She simply did not love him the way she loved her own children. The years passed slowly. Emeka grew from a small boy into a teenager, but life did not get easier for him. His school uniform became more torn and faded. His shoes had holes that let in water during the rainy season. When other children laughed at his appearance, Emeka would feel shame burn in his chest. But Emeka was a smart boy. Even though he had to work hard at home, he studied by candlelight after everyone else went to sleep. He had no money for extra lessons like Kemi and Tond, but he listened carefully in class and asked questions when he did not understand. Meanwhile, Kemi and Tond lived comfortable lives. They had new clothes and shoes whenever they needed them. They ate the best food and never went to bed hungry. They went to private lesson teachers who helped them with their studies. But because everything came easy to them, they did not value it. Kemi spent more time looking at herself in the mirror than reading her books. Tond preferred playing football with his friends to studying. They both thought good grades would come without hard work. Kemi and Tond both failed their exams badly. They would have to repeat their final year of secondary school. Mama Kemi could not believe it. How could the boy she treated like a servant do better than her own children? She was angry and confused. She began to think Emeka had used juju or cheated somehow. When Emeka showed her the scholarship letter, Mama Kemi's face was cold. She did not congratulate him. She did not smile or show any pride. Instead, she said he was still responsible for all the housework, even while attending university. It was a hard life, but Emeka never complained. He had learned to be strong. He had learned to depend on himself. And he had learned that education was the only way to change his future. 4 years later, Emeka graduated from university with first-class honors in engineering. He had also learned to speak perfect English and had made connections with important people who recognized his talent and hard work. A big oil company offered him a job with a good salary. For the first time in his life, Emeka had his own money. He rented a small room in Yoba and moved out of Mama Kemi's house. When they finally graduated, their grades were poor. No good companies wanted to hire them. They had to take small jobs that paid very little money. But they had expensive taste. They wanted to live in nice apartments, drive big cars, and wear designer clothes. When their small salaries could not pay for these things, they kept going back to Mama Kemi for money. Mama Kemi loved her children so much that she could not say no. She sold her jewelry to help them. She borrowed money from friends. She even sold some of her trading goods to give them cash. On weekends, Emeka would visit the orphanages in Lagos. He would bring food, clothes, and school supplies for children who had no parents. He remembered what it felt like to be unwanted, so he wanted to help others who felt the same way. He also started a small foundation that gave scholarships to poor but brilliant students. He wanted to make sure that lack of money would not stop smart children from getting an education. As the years passed, Emeka became more successful. He started his own engineering company and began to make real money. But success did not change his heart. He remained humble and kind. Mama Kemi's life was going in the opposite direction. Kemi and Ton kept asking for more and more money. They said they needed it for business investments, but they used it to live expensive lifestyles they could not afford. Soon, Mama Kemi had sold everything valuable she owned. Her jewelry was gone. Her savings account was empty. She had to borrow money from other traders at the market just to buy goods to sell. One day, the people she owed money to came to her house. They took her furniture, her television, and even her cooking pots. They said if she did not pay soon, they would take her house too. Mama Kemi went to Kemi and Ton for help. She told them about her debts and asked them to support her. Both children said the same cruel words, "We are adults now. We cannot keep taking care of you. You need to solve your own problems." Mama Kemi felt like someone had poured cold water on her heart. These were the children she had loved and sacrificed everything for. These were the children she had chosen over Emeka. But when she needed them most, they turned their backs on her. A few months later, the inevitable happened. The people Mama Kemi owed money to took her house. She was forced to move out with only the clothes on her back and a small bag of belongings. She went to Kemi's apartment first, hoping her daughter would let her stay for a few days. But Kemi said her apartment was too small and she was expecting visitors. She gave her mother 200 naira and told her to find somewhere else to go. With nowhere else to go, Mama Kemi found herself on the streets of Lagos. She slept under bridges and in front of closed shops. During the day, she begged for money to buy food. The proud woman who once owned a house and had a business was now homeless and hungry. The city she had lived in for decades now felt cold and unfriendly. People looked at her like she was nothing more than rubbish on the street. Many nights, as she lay on the hard ground, Mama Kemi thought about her life. She remembered how she had treated Emeka with coldness and cruelty. She remembered how she had poured all her love and resources into Kemi and Ton. And now she was reaping what she had sowed. One Tuesday morning, the sun was particularly hot. Mama Kemi sat in her usual spot near the Ikeja bus stop, holding out her bowl for donations. Her stomach was empty, and she felt weak and dizzy. The morning rush hour brought crowds of people hurrying to work. Most walked past without looking at her. A few dropped small coins into her bowl. Instead, she saw a face she had not seen in many years. It was older now, with lines around the eyes and gray hair at the temples. But she recognized it immediately. It was Emeka. She wanted to look away, but she could not. The eyes met, and for a moment, time seemed to stop. Emeka's heart broke when he saw Mama Kemi on the street. Despite everything she had done to him, despite all the years of coldness and cruelty, she was still the woman who had given him a home when he had nowhere else to go. Without saying a word, Emeka knelt down on the dirty ground beside her. He took her shaking hands in his strong ones. "Mama," he said softly, "what happened to you?" Mama Kemi began to cry. The tears came like rain, washing down her cheeks and falling onto her torn clothes. She tried to speak, but the words would not come. As they walked toward his car, Mama Kemi finally found her voice. "Emeka, I am sorry," she whispered. "I am so sorry for how I treated you." Emeka took Mama Kemi to his beautiful house in Victoria Island. It had a garden, a swimming pool, and rooms filled with comfortable furniture. He gave her the best guest room and told his housekeeper to prepare a warm meal. As Mama Kemi ate her first proper meal in months, Emeka sat with her and listened to her story. She told him about Kemi and Tond, about how they had abandoned her when she needed them most. She told him about losing her house and ending up on the streets. When she finished talking, Emeka was quiet for a long time. Then he said, "You can stay here as long as you want. This is your home now." Over the following weeks, Emeka took Mama Kemi to the doctor for a full checkup. He bought her new clothes and shoes. He made sure she had everything she needed to be comfortable and healthy. But more than the material things, Emeka gave her something she had never expected: forgiveness and love. He would sit with her in the evenings and ask about her day. He would share stories about his work and his dreams for the future. He treated her with the respect and kindness she had never shown him when he was young. "Emeka, I do not understand. Why are you being so kind to me? I treated you so badly when you were a child. I showed you no love. I made you work like a servant while I spoiled my own children. You have every right to hate me." Emeka looked at the orange sky and thought for a moment. Then he turned to her with a gentle smile. "Mama, hatred is like poison. It hurts the person who carries it more than the person it is meant for. Yes, you treated me badly. Yes, I was hurt and lonely for many years. But that pain taught me important lessons. It taught me to be strong when life is difficult. It taught me to work hard for everything I wanted. It taught me to be grateful for small kindnesses. And most importantly, it taught me that love is not something we deserve because of our blood or our actions. Love is something we choose to give." Mama Kemi's eyes filled with tears again, but this time they were tears of gratitude, not shame. "I choose to love you, Mama, not because you earned it, but because that is who I want to be. I want to be the kind of person who shows mercy when others expect revenge. I want to be the kind of person who breaks the cycle of hurt instead of continuing it." As the months passed, news of Mama Kemi's situation reached her biological children. They heard that she was living in a big house with Emeka, the same boy they had once looked down upon. One day, both children came to Emeka's house. They demanded to see their mother and accused Emeka of trying to win her favor for selfish reasons. But Mama Kemi was no longer the same woman who had spoiled them and given them everything they wanted. Her time on the streets and Emeka's kindness had changed her heart. She looked at Kemi and Tond with new eyes. She saw their selfishness and ingratitude clearly for the first time. She saw how different they were from Emeka, who had every reason to be bitter but chose to be loving instead. "My children," she said calmly, "when I needed you most, you turned away from me. When I was hungry and homeless, you closed your doors. But Emeka, whom I treated poorly for years, opened his home and his heart to me. This young man has shown me what true character looks like. He has taught me that how we treat others when we have nothing to gain says everything about who we really are." Kemi and Tond tried to argue. They said they were her real children and deserved her love and inheritance more than Emeka. But their words sounded hollow and selfish. Mama Kemi shook her head sadly. "Being born from my body does not make you my true children. A true child is someone who shows love, respect, and care. Emeka has been more of a son to me in these few months than you have been in your entire lives." After Kemi and Tond left that day, they never returned. They were too proud to admit their mistakes and too selfish to change their ways. They continued to struggle in life, always looking for shortcuts and easy money, never understanding that success comes from hard work and good character. Meanwhile, Mama Kemi's transformation continued. Living with Emeka, she learned to see the world differently. She began to help with his foundation, visiting orphanages and schools with him. She would tell the children her story and encourage them never to give up, no matter how difficult their circumstances. She became like a mother to many of the scholarship recipients. She would cook for them, give them advice, and show them the love and encouragement she had once denied Emeka. One day, a young girl who reminded her of herself at that age asked her a question, "Mama, why do you care so much about us when we are not your real children?" Mama Kemi smiled and repeated the words Emeka had taught her, "Love is not something we deserve because of our blood. Love is something we choose to give." 3 years later, Mama Kemi's health began to fail. She was now in her 70s, and the years of hardship had taken their toll on her body. But her spirit was stronger than it had ever been. She had learned that the children we pour our love into are not always the ones who will love us back. She had learned that character matters more than blood relations. She had learned that how we treat people when they cannot help us reveals our true nature. Most importantly, she had learned that it is never too late to change, never too late to become a better person, and never too late to experience real love. "Emeka," she whispered, her voice weak but clear, "you have given an old woman the greatest gift possible. You have shown me what it means to love without conditions." Emeka squeezed her hand gently. "And you, Mama, have shown me that forgiveness can heal even the deepest wounds." When Mama Kemi passed away peacefully a few days later, hundreds of people came to her funeral. There were the children from the orphanages, the scholarship recipients, and many others whose lives she had touched during her final years. Kemi and Ton came too, but they stood apart from the crowd, realizing too late what they had lost through their selfishness. Emeka spoke at the funeral, telling everyone about Mama Kemi's transformation and the lessons she had taught him about love, forgiveness, and second chances. The story of Mama Kemi and Emeka spread throughout Lagos and beyond. It became a tale that parents told their children, teachers shared with their students, and elders discussed in village squares. The moral was clear and powerful: how we treat people when they are vulnerable and cannot help us reveals our true character. The children who seem least important may grow up to be the most successful and caring. And love that is earned through kindness and character lasts longer than love that is demanded through blood relations. Blood may make us relatives, but loyalty, kindness, and love make us family. In the end, Mama Kemi learned that the seeds we plant in our relationships will always produce a harvest. If we plant selfishness and favoritism, we will reap abandonment and loneliness. But if we plant love and kindness, even late in life, we can still reap joy and peace. The boy she had rejected became the son who saved her. The children she had favored became the ones who abandoned her. Life has a way of teaching us lessons, sometimes through bitter experiences, but always with the opportunity for redemption. And so ends the story of Mama Kemi, a woman who learned too late the true meaning of family, but was blessed to experience real love before her time on earth was finished. May we all learn from her story and choose to plant seeds of kindness wherever we go, for we never know which seeds will grow into the trees that will shelter us in our old age. The end.